I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of March 14th, 2022. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. All callers will be muted and may only comment during the times allotted for public comment as indicated on the agenda. If you are on the phone waiting to speak to council and are also watching the meeting on YouTube or Channel 8, please know that there are a couple of seconds of delay with the live stream. Please turn down your computer or TV volume as we approach the sections of the agenda reserved for public invited to be heard, so you can hear the council meeting on the phone line and to prevent background noise when you are unmuted to speak. Thank you for following these directions and for maintaining meeting decorum tonight. Joanna, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Here.
Councilmember Witkovich is absent. Councilmember Jaramillo is absent. Councilmember Duran Malika.
Here.
Councilmember Lisbon Hiramasa is absent. Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jason, are there any responses to citizen inquiries?
Nothing tonight, Mayor Pro Tem.
Great. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Not me.
Okay. All right, we have one proclamation this evening, so I'm going to ask that council join me in front of the dais.
Wow, I guess it gets all into one frame.
I love this little group that we have.
All right, so our proclamation this evening is honoring Women's History Month, and I will be presenting it to Councilmember Brown. Whereas Women's History Month recognizes that women of every race, class, and ethnic background make historic contributions to the growth and strength of our country in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women have influenced and advanced every facet of American life and culture, and the resourcefulness and spirit of our female leaders, innovators, and pioneers shape our government, businesses, communities, and families. And whereas the theme of Women's History Month is women providing healing, promoting hope, which is both a tribute to the ceaseless work of caregivers, healthcare professionals, and frontline workers during the ongoing pandemic, and also recognition to the thousands of ways that women of all cultures have provided healing and hope throughout history. And whereas Women's History Month is a time for everyone to celebrate the paid and unpaid work of women who improve the livability of the city, both working inside and outside the home. And whereas to foster the next generation of women, the City of Northglenn seeks to encourage and support individual, educational, and social opportunities for women to create an inclusive space for all to participate, with a focus to draw in women of color, women of all ages and abilities, and people of any gender that identify as female-bodied individuals, empowering women to lead, benefiting entire communities, and making the City of Northglenn a better place. And whereas the City of Northglenn recognizes and honors all women who continue to contribute to the strength and vibrancy of our nation and this city. Now, therefore, I, Jenny Wilford, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Women's History Month in the City of Northglenn and urge all residents to join in this observance by celebrating and reflecting on the healing and hopeful contributions of women in this community. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 14th day of March 2022. This is for you, Councilmember Brown. Would you like to say a few words?
I would.
Okay.
You see that one coming?
I volunteered to take this proclamation because, being the oldest person on council now, I think it's really important to acknowledge the women that have made significant history. But I also think it's important to recognize, like our proclamation said, I'm so proud of it, Joanna, that there are plenty of women out there that aren't making history as far as Marie Curie or Rosa Parks or even Mother Teresa. We women, watch out guys, have been held back a long time. Considering that I am the oldest member, the first protest I went to, we burnt our bras. That was fun. And I pretty much have continued to be a very vocal, outspoken person for women across the country. I think that it's important that everybody realize what our women had to deal with, and our men. I'll give credit to that too. During the pandemic, a lot of women had to make career choices. Would they continue their career? Would they stay home and take care of their family? And a lot of women also found through the pandemic that being in the workplace wasn't what they wanted to do anymore. Maybe they wanted to go part-time. And I just think it's great that we have the opportunities that we have now. When I was in 6th grade, we couldn't wear pants to school. Girls had to wear dresses to school. We were not allowed to wear pants. So I'm not going to tell you who led the protest on that, but a very brave little girl got a bunch of girls to sign petitions, including teachers, and eventually the San Diego Unified School District let us wear pants. So that's something that I say to younger women, because a lot of times the things that we went through have been not taken advantage of, but forgotten. We're forgotten that we couldn't go outside without a bra. Forgotten that you weren't able to wear pants to school. You know, little things now that we don't think about. You know, our girls at school now get your tank top is too short or your straps are too short. And ours was you couldn't even wear a pair of pants or shorts during the summer. So I'm very proud of the women that have led me on my career path. And I was very proud, I have to say this, for the time that we spent as a woman-held city council. We worked our butts off for the city because not everybody, but a lot of people said, oh, they're women. The women are running council. They're gonna run the city into the ground. We didn't, and we did a damn good job of it during that time. We sure did, Mayor Pro Tem. So that's what I wanted to say, and I wanted to make sure that the message got across. It's not about breaking the glass ceiling. It's about the skills that you possess to break the glass ceiling and not being held back anymore. Thank you.
That was amazing. So thank you, Councilmember Brown. I so appreciate your heartfelt comments. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to handshake.
Yeah, you have to like handshake. Or hug it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
You
you.
should be hugging out. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, picture time.
Yay!
Show your proclamation.
Now I'm feeling really special.
Here we go. So yeah.
Am I blocking my computer?
Nope, we're good. We are good. Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. Take a lot because I'm not always the best.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that you have a new phone that'll send us out.
All right. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Of course. All right, moving into presentations. I'd like to invite Liz Garner, our Excel Energy Area Manager, forward to introduce herself to council. Welcome.
Hi. Well, good evening, council. I don't think had the opportunity yet to meet any of you, but I am Liz Gardner, and I started with Excel. I've been with Excel for 5 years, but just started as the area manager for Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties for our company as of November 1st. And so some of you may have worked in the past with Preston Gibson or Tom Henley, might be names that may be familiar or maybe not. But either way, my role as an area manager is really to be of service to our municipalities, to make sure you have a point of contact at Excel if you have a constituent that has a need, you need to send someone a complaint, a positive thank you. You can really see me as your primary point of contact for the city of Northglenn. Obviously, work very closely with city staff on all things related to infrastructure projects, relocation, 1% projects, whatever the case might be. But I wanted to take the opportunity to come in person to introduce myself. A little bit of background on me. Like I said, I've been with Excel for 5 years, managed all of our philanthropic giving for our company, so all of our foundation grant making and employee volunteerism. So, prior to that was in nonprofit fundraising and the nonprofit side of things. So have made quite a switch. I've learned more about the utility industry than I ever thought I would know, but it's been a real joy to be with our company. Just a little bit, very briefly, kind of on the deck for Excel. We are really proud to be on the path to drive towards our carbon-free vision, to deliver 100% carbon-free vision or 100% carbon-free electricity by 2050. And we just announced in late 2021 our net zero vision by 2050 on the natural gas side of our business. So we are really proud to provide our customers with a ever-changing and really clean product to provide both gas and electricity. A couple of things I just wanted to make sure you are aware of specific to Northglenn. We're really excited that we're working in Northglenn specifically on an electrification plan, looking at sort of EV infrastructure and EV electric vehicle adoption across Northglenn. We're just really excited. You're one of our earlier communities to sign on to participate in our Fleet Electrification Action Plan or Action Plan program. It's FEEP for short. So more will be coming as we've been doing focus groups to roll out that program. The other piece in kind of between July and September, we will be doing our smart meter installation for residents in Northglenn. So that is a smart meter is sort of the best way to describe it. A digital meter that no longer needs to have a meter reader go around and read your meter. It really provides a lot better two-way communication with our utility. Right now, it's hard to know if there's outages because we don't have sort of that two-way communication with our customers. And with that, we'll be rolling out what's called the time of use rate. So that'll roll out. So really incentivizing customers to use less electricity when there's lower demand and more renewables on the system, and run that dishwasher. Don't start your dishwasher right at 5 p.m. when all of us get home from work and flip on our lights. So those are just a couple of the programs that I wanted to highlight, but obviously a lot more coming for us. I think for me, when I think about our company, there's really 3 key priorities that drive everything that we do: leading the clean energy transition, enhancing our customers' experience, and keeping bills low. And so please know I'm a resource and a point of contact. Should you have any questions about your utility provider or the service that we're providing to you and your constituents, and look forward to working with you for many months and years ahead. So that is all I had.
Excellent. Any questions from council? Go
I
ahead,
don't think so.
Councilmember Burke.
Great.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you all. Thank you so much.
Just a moment,
Liz,
Liz.
I do have one.
yeah.
That smart meter install, is that citywide or is that gonna be in phases or how is that all?
So it will go citywide. So again, between July and September, and I could provide, as we get closer to that time frame, kind of a map of sort of what wards will start in first, so that in customers that get their smart meters before probably by the end of September, assuming everyone gets in, we'll roll into our time of use rates starting October 1st. There is an opt-out option for customers. There is a fee associated with that. I have a smart meter on our house. I didn't notice when they came. I don't notice anything different, on our home. But yes, it will all happen then. They're pretty fast, surprisingly, how quickly they can get them installed.
Okay, now I have.
Yeah.
Councilmember Brown.
Thanks. So, people have been coming out for a million years to check your gas meters. Do you think that there'll be any inconsistencies where now you're catching them, right? And people's rates are going to go up, they're going to start paying more?
No, people shouldn't at all, because even when people come out and read it, that's really more to, maintain that the system is still working. It's still reading the system and sending kind of managing your rates in that way. So customers won't see any difference in playing catch up on rates that maybe had been charged before. So at least in any communities that we've rolled out thus far, we haven't heard of anything like that.
Now, during peak time, is that an increased rate?
Yeah, and so it will be, basically a lower rate during off-peak times and then a slightly higher rate. So kind of averages out, and we do anticipate that customers will actually be able to, if they, again, man it. Like I've already talked to my husband, you got to stop turning the dishwasher on at 6 p.m. It's run some of those major appliances when you go up to bed at night. So as long as customers do that, I actually anticipate that either it'll be, even with the lower and the higher, you probably wouldn't see that much of a rate differential anyways. But if they do manage their energy consumption, it provides even more of an opportunity to see a decrease in your rates.
Now, I've had a lot, I wasn't going to bring this up, by the way.
No, you're good.
And by a lot, I'm saying maybe 10 or 12 people reach out to me in the last month about their Excel rates and the big jump that they took at their homes.
Yeah.
Now, was that a rate increase? No?
No. So the pressure that all of us have been feeling on our rates, particularly this winter, has been directly as a result of commodity prices and the natural gas prices. So that is a direct pass-through cost that we don't make any money off of the natural gas rates. We purchase it. We try to hedge any losses with any increased rates that you see go up by pre-purchasing when we can. But it's been directly as a result of the commodity prices. We have seen, although with everything happening in Russia, but for several, or in Ukraine with Russia, we have seen the prices go down, and so customers should start to see those come down. The timing was very unfortunate too, because the rates and the commodity prices also spiked when all of us are using way more natural gas in our homes than we normally do. It sort of correlated when everyone's turning up their heat and warming their homes in the winter. So as people and the temperatures get warmer, that will also have a direct effect on rates. But absolutely, it has been noticeable, and we absolutely recognize that, but that hasn't been because of a sort of set rate increase. It's been because of the pass-through commodity prices.
Oh, well, it's a great time to do solar panels, huh?
Yeah.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you.
Okay, the question I have that come up into my mind as we're discussing this is you had said something about the smart meters being replaced and people wouldn't notice it. I just have to say that in many of the old Promac homes in this town, the gas meter is inside the garage like it is in my house. And so I just wanted to know what kind of notification people will be getting.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the meter, and it kind of so we're replacing the electric meters, not gas meters. So if people have separate,
Okay.
but what we do is we send mailers to all residents, letting them know, hey, we're going to be in your neighborhood. This is how it worked for ours. And my husband actually also got an email too. So if you opt into emails, you get an email. We're going to be in your neighborhood replacing your meter with a smart meter, in the next 2 weeks. And so then what they do is they come to your home, they knock. If you're not home, so we actually weren't home when they did it, but they were able to still access our meter because it was outside of our fence. They just replaced it. If they can't access the meter, they leave a door hanger with a phone number to call, so people can call back and just schedule a time for the crews to come out.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I also have a
Yeah,
question.
that's great.
Thank you for taking time to
Yeah.
chat with us and share all of this
Thanks for
information.
asking questions.
It
I
sounds like there are potentially a lot of great things that maybe you all could bring back and help communicate to our community. I want to go back really briefly to the rates question, specifically about gas. I was reading an article in the Colorado Sun, I guess, or late February, that said that Xcel Energy had just submitted a request to the Public Utilities Commission to increase utility bills up to $18 per month per household. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because I think, we're all certainly feeling the squeeze, and our families here in Northglenn are not, we're working families.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to pull up, so I make sure I get all my numbers right too. So we filed with the Public Utilities Commission, so to your earlier question, the rates people have been feeling has been a commodity sort of increase. We did file with the Public Utilities Commission, which we have to do every 4 years, our natural gas. We both have to do it on both the electric side and the natural gas side of things. So we have kind of our plans where we put forth the energy mix on the electric side. So that's one piece that's before the Public Utilities Commission right now is what we call our electric resource plan. That's still under deliberation, as is our gas rate filing. So 2 separate things. There's a lot going on with our company and the Public Utilities Commission right now. So I can't, the Colorado Sun also, I actually think their stuff is very helpful, but they do write a lot about our company. So one would be kind of on the energy mix. I'm suspecting what you're referencing is on the natural gas rate case. So that rate case filing is before the Public Utilities Commission right now. And it is true that we are proposing an increase, and I just want to make sure I get the numbers exactly right for you. So it is a proposed 6.7 increase in average residential customer monthly natural gas bills. Natural gas bills would rise, so 2.7 in 2023, 3.1 in 2024. So it would be kind of a step in for a few years, and then customers wouldn't see any additional rate increases for another 5 years on the natural gas side of things. A couple of things that sort of helps to cover. It helps to sort of maintain the integrity of our natural gas system. So replacing old pipes, upgrading the system. It allows to meet the capacity growth that we are seeing all over the state of Colorado. Right now, we don't have the capacity in our existing natural gas infrastructure to meet all of the growth that we're seeing across Adams, Arapahoe, Douglas, mountain communities. And so it helps to pay for all of the infrastructure increases. The couple of things I will say about our natural gas prices, I understand any rate increase is a challenge. Right now, our natural gas bills, even with this proposed rate increase, we are in I want to make sure I get the exact number right, is 500th out of over 2,000 utilities in the lowest natural gas rates in the country. So we are well below industry average or utility average across the country. And when you look at across other Colorado utilities beyond just Xcel Energy, we're way below the rest of Colorado utilities. So it is an infrastructure. I would say we haven't been doing rate increases on our natural gas business for many, many years. And it is caught up with us a bit. And we need to invest in the infrastructure to ensure that we can meet the demands of all of our customers in this growing economy.
Great. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate it. I have many, many more questions.
Yeah.
But
Am I allowed to give you all my business cards or not hand stuff?
that would be lovely.
Is that okay?
Yeah, actually, if you want to pass them over to Joanna.
Perfect.
She can make sure that those are distributed, and maybe we can connect offline at some point.
Absolutely. That would be great.
Great.
Thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'll leave my cards so we can chat more.
Thank you so much. All right, next up, we have Youth Commission member Nazli Sofiani. Did I say that correctly? Okay. We'll present the annual report to council. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nazli Sufiani, and I'm the current secretary of the Youth Commission. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what we've done in this past year. So currently we have 7 dedicated and hardworking members, and we actually have a recent graduate who graduated last year, Lily Kunis, who is now attending Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana. As far as community engagement goes, the Tri-County Health Department has actually reached out to Youth Commission in order for us to provide some feedback regarding their efforts to promote healthy beverages at restaurants in Northglenn. We've also been approached by them in regards to their youth mental health committee in order to help them kind of develop a model for this committee and provide feedback. We currently have 2 members, Isaiah and Elizabeth, who have agreed to sit in on Tri-County Health Department Healthy Beverages Committee to conduct some further research and get in contact with restaurants and develop a policy approach to kind of help this come together. Then the Little Libraries project was something that we started or that we worked on a few years ago, and that our graduate Lily had actually just picked back up on. She went to visit some of these little libraries and refill them. And we'll move on to projects. So one of the main projects that we have worked on is our listening sessions. In 2020, after our equity and race and equity training led by Dr. Naomi Nishi, we learned a lot about what these concepts of race and equity look like and how we can promote equity in Northglenn among youth. And we decided to sit in on a few dice board community listening sessions and kind of see what the conversation was all about. And then from there, we kind of stemmed into having our own youth-led community listening session that the dice board helped us on, and that was a truly eye-opening experience for me. I've never kind of seen an environment where everybody can be so open, and youth don't often get opportunities like this, so it was really nice to hear what everybody had to say, and I think that the turnout was pretty good. And I'm excited to further develop this goal later this year. Next, we have our virtual meetings. So due to COVID-19, obviously, we've had to kind of go back and forth between these virtual meetings as well as in-person meetings. Right now, I'm really excited to get back to these in-person meetings. We've had lots of fun doing them so far, and I hope that we get to continue that. Next, we have recruiting. So we've, early in November of last year, we started opening up some recruiting sessions. Current members Mira Bippin and I reached out to the student leadership at Holstrom Options to talk to their middle school about joining Youth Commission. We talked about our application process, what we do, the projects that we've worked on, and really tried to get some involvement from more kids in our community so that we can grow our Youth Commission. We actually had a couple people interested and who will be joining our meeting tomorrow, which is very exciting. And then our website. So throughout the pandemic, us youth commissioners have identified mental health as a priority topic. We think that this was especially essential to youth in our community right now because we felt isolated from each other and kind of disconnected. So what we decided to do was update our Northglenn webpage to kind of open it up to more youth and teen resources. We did this by adding 4 new categories: health and wellness, that involves mental health resources, hotlines, things like that. Boredom Busters, which includes just fun little games, creative activities that could kind of get people active and kind of more involved in what they're doing. And then relaxation, which was more like meditative types of things to help people relax, especially with some of the stress that people might have been having at the time from online school and all of these different new aspects that had completely changed our lifestyles. And then our Meet the Youth Commission, which is pretty basic, just meeting our members, having our pictures there, more of a friendly welcome to what Youth Commission is all about, so that when people are looking at our website, they feel more welcome. Next, we have the Northglenn Pride event that we got the opportunity to volunteer at. We had so much fun running the silent disco. I've never been a part of a silent disco, and it was just so funny and a completely new experience for us. Another highlight was definitely the potatoes from the food trucks. I will always remember those potatoes. They were delicious. Goal setting. This was one of our most important ones, I think, because we really just set our priorities straight for this new year. And the topics that we chose to further discuss were homelessness and DICE and the power imbalance that we were seeing through some of our past projects. And what was really interesting is that we kind of tried to look at ideas that we had kind of developed in the past and really decided to fully focus on these for this upcoming year. So we had the swap little kits that we made from the severe weather activation plan. They were just a kit that one of our members, Mira Bippin, put together with a lot of essentials that people may be needing, people experiencing homelessness may be needing during the severe weather in winter months. So to further develop on that, we decided to fundraise at the Noel Northglenn event where we sold peppermint floats and raised money for meals that we provided the shelter with a few weeks back. And then the next agenda item was to reach out to cruise staff. We reached out to Jessica, who actually joined in on one of our meetings in February and gave us a lot of advice, information, and just all around was a great source of information for us to really look at the data and statistics that she brought to the table. And I think it really opened our eyes up to the problem that we were really dealing with. So the next step from here is to develop a project, which I think we'll be working on during tomorrow night's meeting, as well as all throughout the rest of this spring quarter. And then moving on to the DICE initiative. So we are planning a joint DICE and Youth Commission meeting. We decided after some back and forth that that would be the best option for us because it's easy. We can get most of our members involved on both sides. And we're scheduling that with Rupa right now. So that's in the making. And then the Pride event, the Adams 12 County Pride event, is something that we are definitely looking towards brainstorming some ideas for, especially some ideas that are geared towards youth, some ways that youth can be more involved in this. And then we also supported the council municipal code at and other city documents. And kind of had that conversation during our meetings and decided to support that. And next we have the grand opening. So at our grand opening for the new recreation center, we had representatives Elizabeth and Mira from the Youth Commission. They were very excited to kind of see this vision come to life. And I heard that it was a very fun time. And then we'll be ending off with our 2021 holiday fun. We had the opportunity to make some gingerbread houses during one of our last meetings in 2021. And it was actually really exciting that all of the profits from the kits went to Habitat for Humanity. And as you can see, we had some very creative designs. And I'm very excited to see what we do in this upcoming year. And very proud of all the work that we have done in the past. So thank you, and that's all for me. Any questions?
Just a moment. Yeah, I think we may have some. Councilmember Brown.
How many openings do you have? It's an awesome time to plug that to people who might be watching.
Yes, so many openings.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss Miss Lily. She was fun.
Yes.
4, I think?
Uh,
Whoa.
8.
8.
Yes.
So I think this is a really great time to get that word out. Maybe we can get, we can help you get more kids.
That would be wonderful.
I think you guys did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
It was one of my happiest times is being with you guys, but my life just got in the middle of it all. So I appreciate the time that I got to spend with you guys. And the Youth Commission, for those of you that don't or have never attended a meeting, they are a group of vibrant youngsters in our community that are so smart and so aware of everything that's going on. I would leave those meetings in awe sometimes because you just sometimes don't give enough credit to the youth for their ideas and where they're going. And I'd also like to give credit to Amanda. Amanda Peterson, who leads the Youth Commission, is just phenomenal in that process. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. I just also wanted to thank you for all the hard work you've done this year.
Thank you.
The work that your Youth Commission has done with the Diversity Board has been much appreciated. The listening session that I sat in on that one time was amazing. I mean, the insights and actually the courage to speak up for youth, and especially in the LGBTQ community, was very impressive. And we did very much enjoy seeing you and working with you at the Pride Festival. And I hope the Adams County Pride Festival this coming summer, that we have a good presence there, and I know it'll be wonderful. So again, you guys have done a great job, very impressed, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Walker?
Just want to say you did a great job presenting tonight.
Thank you.
Good work over the last year, and if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Duran, Mullica?
Yeah, so thank you so much for your presentation. It was great. I really appreciate your overview of the goal setting. I think that's really important when you think about how are we going to motivate a group to accomplish a particular task. And one of the things that I really admire by your guys' involvement, especially with, your goal around, looking at power imbalance and especially looking at, LGBTQ and youth of color with mental health. Participating in the Tri-County Health Department Mental Health Committee is really exciting stuff. I know that right now Tri-County Health Department is working on creating a mental health collaborative throughout Adams County and Arapahoe County, but hopefully that work will continue and you guys could, lean into that because I think a youth perspective is so important. And I love that you guys are part of the conversation and at the table because, one of the biggest things when it comes to mental health, particularly with youth, is we need a youth voice there, right? To tell us about, what are the issues and barriers that you're seeing in your community, if you will, of your schools and what kind of resources they need. So fantastic work, lean in.
Thank you.
And thank you for another great year.
Thank you so much.
And just really quick before you
Yes.
leave, I'm gonna throw a couple of things in. I completely agree with everything that everyone said. This presentation was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
It was so thorough, and I feel like, the goal setting that you all did this year is just truly transformational. The issues that you chose to prioritize are truly going to move the needle for this community as an entirety. And I just really want to give you all kudos and the recognition that you deserve for this work. Because again, it's transformational. Please know that you all are welcome to come before us at any point if you have ideas or things that you think that we should be taking action on, whether it's aligned with your priorities or not. And I just want to say thank you for all of the work that you do and continue to do every day.
Thank you so
Great job
much.
tonight.
Thank you.
Everyone.
All right, public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. Joanna, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
I don't have anybody signed up on the list, but I do have a voicemail and an email from 2 residents.
Great.
So I will start with the voicemail first. This is from resident Mark Bromley.
Thank you, City Council. I'm Mark Bromley and will be asking for my seat at the table once the appointment process begins. Thank you, City Council and City Management, for recognizing your graffiti and vandalism at the E.B. Raines Memorial and cleaning it up. Do not continue using your hate on council or city management to retaliate at me or any other residents in Northglenn. I've been looking into whistleblower protection about the issue to stop your stalking and harassment. On the issue of lack of commitment by elected Democrats on council, this elitism by appointment is not what the U.S. Constitution had in mind. Honest elections are about commitment to serving your community for the term you ran an election for. It's government fraud, waste, and abuse to lie about your commitment before the voters of your community. In Colorado, we question the election system when we get deceivers who abuse elections with harmful agendas and lack commitment to do as they promised in their bid for office. Commitment means allowing those like myself a seat at the table, not to manipulate government and lie about their commitment like Malika did. Think of the waste of thousands of dollars and the wasted hundreds of volunteers' man hours, the lies Malika told convincing voters to vote for her, and then betraying them by resigning in April, as announced at last meeting. As her opponent, I'm disappointed that she had committed an act of fraud, waste, and abuse toward her voters. Knowing full well a decision to relocate a home is a lengthy process, she should have stepped down. instead of continue running the election. I know the council has gotten cruel and unconstitutional and wishes to appoint rather than allow long-term residents like myself a seat at the table. Don't know why the Democrats are so afraid of differing viewpoints. Differing viewpoints is U.S. American. I'll be proving my commitment to the city of Northglenn when you get on with the process to appoint for Ward 3 in my 4th year of commitment to the city council and state politics. I'm a Navy veteran, and commitment is what we in the Navy pride ourselves on. You wonder why so many believe our elections are stolen in Colorado? Look at who's stepping down and failing to commit to the voters. On the matter of the Civic Center plan, I find it disgusting and busy, very noisy. I find it not acceptable for senior and multifamily housing or congruent with the purpose of the city of Northglenn, that being a family-oriented community. I've seen the live, workforce, poverty internment camp housing that got proposed. It's usually found close to military base. Designed to roll military persons over their paychecks. Many were designed in Europe and Asia and Japan in the Middle Ages to traffic persons and run shady businesses, with a terrible design of a strip mall on 2 or more floors, placing at risk anyone who foolishly tries to use it as a tenement. One such place I know of is Dabuda Street in Yokosuka, Japan. I used to, as a collateral duty, patrol that area in uniform to prevent military persons from being rolled or taken advantage of, or harmful acts befalling the local residents. It was loud, dangerous, and harmful to people living in that part of town. Depending on the decade, it gets worse and gets slightly better. If bars open up and run into the early morning hours, these strip mall tenements get very criminal, like they do and did on Colfax here in Colorado. Colfax didn't get its bad reputation for no reason. It had those buildings that you're trying to build here in Northglenn by the city center. I oppose the current civic plan. It's lost the Northglenn identity, and it's a poor design. It's creating the criminal activity of the Days Inn all over again and closer to City Hall. Which reminds me, yes, office buildings will be filling up once again. If you are inside the City Hall tonight at this meeting, you are proof that the USA will return to normal business. COVID is a lie and a joke and will change nothing after running its nonsense for 5 years. After all, who thinks you can deny what humanity is and will be? You can't fight centuries of human nature and evolution before God. Thank you, City Council. Looking forward to joining you on Council after April. If you have a fair process that wants to fill that seat with someone who is committed to serving Northglenn on City Council, well, that would be me, Mark Bromley. So keep me in mind. Thank you. Have a good day. Good night.
Okay. The second item I have is an email from Holly Osgood. So this is for public comment, March 14th, 2022. Today, March 14th, 2022, an email was sent to the entire council. This email regards ongoing concerns about the Justice Park naming process and the lack of a response to logistical questions in regard to the mayor and city manager's offer on February 23rd, 2022, of a mayor's coffee with the group of Northglenn senior citizens having the concerns, but also limited physical mobility/transportation options that would require assistance. It is unfortunate that after following up on February 28th, 2022, that there is still no response to the 2 logistical questions. The perception now is that this offer was merely cursory and meant to stop any further discussion. Given this, these Northglenn citizens will not pursue that particular offer any further. Council members are encouraged to review the email and its concerns, giving it their due consideration. Thanks, Holly Osgood.
Thank you, Joanna. Is there anyone in the audience who didn't have a chance to sign up and would like to speak to council? All right, I don't see anybody jumping up, so we're going to move on. All right, moving into communications. Let's start with Councilmember Walker.
No update, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, in Ward 2, Councilmember Brown.
I attended the NER meeting last week, where I actually came to my first meeting in City Hall, and they had moved it to a virtual meeting. That was kind of funny. Lots of exciting things happening on the NER front, but unfortunately, most of it was done during executive session, so I can't share that with you, but just know that there are lots of exciting things coming our way And city council will be briefed during an executive session, I think, in 2 weeks, if I remember correctly.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Let's see, since we last met at a regular meeting where I could report out, I wanted to just give a shout out to all the volunteers that helped out at the Highline Canal cleanup. I was going to mention that, I think, when I missed a meeting or something, so I didn't want to overlook that. It was a wonderful event, very heartwarming, which was good. It was warming because the weather was very cold, so thank you to everyone who came out to help. And then I also attended a CC4CA board meeting and the policy committee meeting. I'm trying to catch up with everything that's going on with CC4CA. Let's see. They were started to plan the annual retreat, which is going to be in June, and they're hoping to do that in person. And a couple of things that I learned was that the CC4CA is supporting House Bill 1012, which is a wildfire mitigation and recovery bill, and also House Bill 1124, which is tax credit for recycling an old vehicle, and then Senate Bill 007, which increased wildfire risk mitigation outreach efforts, and Senate Bill 51, which was policies to reduce emissions from built environment, also supporting Senate Bill 90, which is severe weather notifications to utility customers. So that was CC4CA. And then I also attended the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership Executive Council meeting. And just basically starting to kind of get organized for the year. They did hire or are in the works to hire a company that will put out a magazine-like publication that is going to promote Adams County, and there will be maybe an opportunity if we wanted to suggest something that they include into that. So I think that's probably enough for me. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Duran Mullica?
Yeah, I actually don't have much of an update tonight. The only thing I wanted to say is thank you everybody who came out for the Ward 3 meeting that took place on March 2nd. We did have a great turnout and a lot of fantastic people came. It was a great conversation, so it was good just to see everybody again. It's been a long time, so I definitely appreciate that. Now, in response to public comment, I will welcome anybody who would like to question, have thoughts, comments, whatever, about me leaving council and my service to the city. Please feel free to give me a call at any time. My phone number is actually in the connection and on the website. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilmember Duran Mullica. As far as my report, I have 2 items. One is I was pleased to be a part of the groundbreaking ceremony this past, I believe maybe it was Wednesday. Last week kind of was a blur. But yeah, yep. Anyway, was pleased to participate in the groundbreaking of Carl's Farm Senior Apartments. That'll be over in the new Carl's Dairy Farm development. And this new affordable housing development will go a long way in fulfilling our city's promise to be welcoming and inclusive of everyone at every stage of life. And will definitely help to ensure that our residents who have called Northglenn home for so long will now have an option to be able to age in place in this community we all love so much. So just wanted to share that. It was really exciting to see all of the different partners that came together to make that project possible. And I have to say I got a lot of really positive feedback from the developer as well as the builder about just how fantastic our Northglenn staff was to work with. So want to say thanks to staff for your role in making the project work and go as smoothly as possible. It'll be a major value add to this community. Secondly, just to briefly respond to what we heard in public comment, I feel like we as a council have worked really hard to ensure that our residents always have a seat at the table and our doors are always open, and we invite conversation, whether it's difficult or whether it's easy. And so I would just encourage that if residents have questions or heard something that they want to speak about or have a conversation with us about, to reach out and know that we will continue to do the work to represent you no matter what you believe. So with that, let's move into hearing from our acting city manager, Jason Loveland. What you got for us?
I do not have anything tonight. Thank you.
Okay, all right. City Clerk Joanna Small?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I also have nothing tonight.
Okay, all right. City Attorney?
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I'll make it a clean sweep. Nothing for me either.
Okay, well done. Thank you all so much. Okay, we're going to move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Great, please open the vote.
Vote is open. I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, moving into public hearings, CB 1979. Joanna, will you please read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2021 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021.
Impressive. Thank you, Joanna. I will now open the public hearing on CB 1979. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on CB 1979? Okay, anybody on the phone that wishes to provide comment?
I don't see anyone on the phone. No.
Okay. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. All right, moving into ordinances, second reading. Joanna, we read the title of 1979?
Again?
Again?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2021 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021.
I apologize, Joanna. I just saw your note
No
that you
worries.
didn't have to read it since you already had. So, my fault. I apologize. All right. Is there a motion to approve CB 1979 on second reading?
So
Motion
moved.
to approve?
Second. Okay. Jason Loveland, Director of Finance, will provide a summary of the item.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Wilford and City Council members. This supplemental appropriation is caused by the increased revenue that we saw with the development at Carl's Farm, an increase in different revenues that are summarized in your memo, building permits, electric permits, and plan review fees. And then also increase in expenditures for 2021 with the associated cost to provide those services for the permitting and the plan review fees. So in the general fund, total expenditures will be increasing $450,000 for a total 2021 budget of $27,987,369. So those are the most important facts of the supplemental. So I can answer any questions if you have.
All right. Is there any discussion or questions? Nope. Okay. Seeing none, please open the vote.
Vote is open. I will close that vote, and CB 1979 on second reading passes unanimously.
Great. All right. We're down to ordinances first reading, CB 1980. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending Section 7-1-13, subsection C1 and subsection G of the Northglenn Municipal Code.
Is there a motion to approve CB 1980 on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Jason Johnson, Municipal Court Supervisor, will provide a summary of the item. Welcome, Jason.
Welcome.
Welcome to the party.
Okay, good evening, council. First, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jason Johnson. I'm the new municipal court supervisor with the City of Northglenn. I've been here for about 2 months. My background includes 19 years with the state of Colorado as with the probation department, working with courts and probation. And then I worked a year in municipal court down in Cherry Hills Village. So kind of moved around a little bit, but definitely excited to be here today. What we are looking to do, the municipal court, is to amend this municipal code to include careless driving and no proof of insurance as an authority that the municipal court would have to issue bench warrants against traffic defendants. The reason why we are requesting this is because prior to this year, prior to 2022, defendants that were sentenced for fines or conditions of their ticket, we would have a various course of options that we would be able to do to try to enforce that from what the judge would actually order. If defendants were not able to do that for whatever reason, we had the ability to issue what they call an OJW, which is an outstanding judgment warrant. It's not a warrant that, you know, the police are going to come to your house and arrest you, but it's a warrant on their license, and so it would suspend their driver's license or their driving privileges, and it would really kind of get compliance from the defendants to pay their traffic tickets or complete their sentence, whatever that may be. And so what happened is at the end of 2021, there was a new House bill that was passed and that went into law, 21-1314. And basically what that did was it took that OJW process away from municipal courts to try to enforce traffic tickets. Also, as part of that House bill, there was a study group that was created through the Colorado State Patrol that was going to be giving recommendations to the municipal courts. And at the end of the last year, they didn't issue any recommendations in terms of how to kind of counter this change of law in terms of how municipal courts kind of ran and how we tried to enforce those traffic tickets. So currently, right now in 2022, we really don't have any kind of process for careless driving and for no proof of insurance tickets in terms of trying to enforce that or trying to gain compliance from defendants. Right now, the way that it looks is if somebody doesn't show up for their court appearance, we issue a show cause hearing, and if they don't show up for that show cause hearing, we issue another show cause hearing, and so we're kind of in this endless loop of kind of playing cat and mouse, if you want to say. And also, too, something to take note of this amendment is that a lot of times these careless driving and no proof of insurance tickets have restitution, or they can't have restitution attached because they're parts of an accident, or there could be other issues that are going on that victims are looking for restitution, and there's no real way to enforce that now. If we were to close the case and send it to collections, then we only have a short window of 91 days to order restitution. And if the defendant's not responding to that, then we kind of lose that ability to do that. So that's kind of what I wanted to say, just kind of as a supplement to what our memo was to the city council. I'm open to questions, but we're looking to really kind of pass this first reading and move on to the second and public hearing set for later this month, I believe, March 28th.
All right, are there any questions or any discussion? Councilmember Goff?
Didn't find my little button quick enough.
For
Okay,
waving my
so I
hand.
have a couple of questions because I'm not that familiar with all the logistics and the legal terminology. So if I'm understanding this, a person who was given a ticket for careless driving or no proof of insurance, if a bench warrant, does that mean if they don't show up that they could be put in jail?
Yeah, go ahead. Judge Balehash is here with me today too, so.
So what a bench warrant is it gets entered into the Colorado State database. And if an individual is contacted by law enforcement, the officer would say, you have a warrant out for your arrest. On traffic cases, I always set it at a $500 personal recognizance bond, which is when a person signs their own name for it. So the officer would take the person to the closest police station or to the jail. The person would be processed and released with just a signature on their signing their name.
Okay, so if they don't have any money to do this bond, then they're put in jail. Is that correct?
Well, they won't have to pay any money
Anything
to
at all?
get
It's
out.
just their signature.
Correct. I mean, most jails have like a $10 bonding fee. I don't know of any situations where a person who had a PR bond was not released because they couldn't pay the jail bonding fee. I think it goes on an account.
Well,
I don't think
yeah.
but we don't there would be no amount that a person would have to pay. They would just sign their name.
So I guess I'm kind of wondering, like, how effective this is. The person gets
So
released.
what happens is if a person fails to appear on a traffic offense, what the code does currently is I have to enter a default judgment. And so that gets reported to the Department of Motor Vehicles. And once that conviction enters, there's no longer any remedy for a victim of a traffic accident who was hit by an uninsured driver, or even a person who is hit by an insured driver, but they're out there of pocket their $500 deductible. So the reason this is effective is because it keeps the case open without me entering a default judgment. And we have about every 5 years, we go through and we kind of start cleaning out a backlog of cases, but it at least preserves a victim's right to have the ability to request for restitution. And the second part is that actually, and Corey can talk about this too, I actually view it as ensuring a defendant with more due process rights. Because by issuing a warrant, I'm not finding them guilty without them failing to appear. They could have a perfectly good reason for failing to appear. Granted, it's their responsibility to notify the court when they move, but you could have somebody that moves. A no proof of insurance ticket is a $500 ticket. If it's their second one in 5 years, it's a $1,000 ticket. They could actually have proof of insurance at that time. At the time they could have moved. Their house could have burnt down. So I think it's twofold. It really benefits victims of who are out of money financially, and I also think it ensures defendants greater due process rights.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it. Corey, do you have anything to add to that?
The only thing I would add is just to go, the OJW tool that Mr. Johnson was referring to required people to come back to the Northglenn Municipal Court because there was a hold on their driver's license unless they did. That was really the only tool the municipal court had. That tool has now been eliminated, so this is the only way we can frankly get defendants to appear. And it also is consistent with state law. And I think that's an important piece of this, is that by changing the status of careless driving, that is making it consistent with state law. So we're not doing any more or being any more punitive than if they were written into state court.
All right, Councilmember Duran Mullica.
So really, this just seems like a fix, if you will, or I guess that is the best word I kind of come up with, because of the OJW, bill that withdrew those. One of the questions I have is, so are other municipal courts following the same path that you know of throughout the metro area?
So anecdotally, Jay and I have kind of been collecting data through our two professional organizations.
Yeah.
From what we can tell, and Corey probably knows too, some of the really big courts are just like, whatever. They're just going to enter defaults, and if people come pay their tickets, they're going to pay their tickets because their volume is so big that they're not trying to find solutions. Some courts don't know what to do, and they're trying to figure it out, and I think they haven't been very proactive at changing it. As you guys know, I'm a municipal judge in 2 other jurisdictions. Both of those jurisdictions, I always had the ability to warrant on no proof of insurance because it's consistent with state law. So prior to even the OJW change, that was just the way it was because it's consistent with state law. And then JJ can speak to what he's heard from other court administrators and supervisors.
So you have to understand, this is brand new. We're talking about 2 months into this. So a lot of it's still kind of pending of how people are, adjusting to it and then adjusting to it after that. Like Judge said, there are some jurisdictions that aren't doing anything and it's just kind of business as usual. Some are doing, and we are doing it too, where we're trying to get a little crafty in terms of our plea agreements and trying to structure that in a way where it's kind of to their benefit if they comply versus where we didn't really do that before. And if they don't comply, then it's kind of like a default judgment. It's just more terminology up front and kind of more in the plea agreement. On the post-sentence piece of it, like I said, it's really new. Some are doing something like this or similar amendments, and some are not doing anything at all. It's kind of an evolving process. So we're trying to gain as much information as we can. So.
Okay. So another question. So for example, I'm driving, I have one of these warrants against me because I didn't show up, or I was doing reckless driving prior to that. I didn't come in. I now have this warrant. So if I get pulled over again, I would be arrested, right? And then sent
You
off.
should be arrested.
I should be arrested.
You should be arrested.
Okay, I should be arrested, and then I would then go and then sign my name and be released.
Correct.
Would my car also be towed then too at that point? Or
If
how
your
would-
car has a license, registration, and proof of insurance, and depending upon where it's located, the officer will usually ask you what you want to do. Do you want to
Okay.
leave your car here? Do you want it towed? Do you want to call somebody to come get your car? If
Okay.
your car is not registered or insured, then the officer is most likely going to impound it. And that will cost defendants money.
money? Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify how that process works.
And I would also say, right now, most of our county jails aren't taking these warrants anyway.
Yeah, see, and then that was
Right, and so I guess, right to the, what's the point? Because the people that have the intention of taking care of their warrant will then call us and say, hey, I got pulled over, I have this warrant, I didn't even know about it, what can I do to clear it up? Otherwise, they won't ever know about it.
when the warrant is issued. I'm assuming there's notification that gets mailed to them or contact.
No, so it just gets entered into.
So it just gets entered. So I missed the whatever. I didn't go and see you when I should have. Totally forgot about it, and now I have a warrant, and I don't know that I have a warrant.
Correct. Until you're contacted by law enforcement or apply for a job that requires a background check, and they'll be like, hey, you have a warrant, you should probably go take care of it.
Okay. Is there a reason why we don't notify people if they have a warrant out?
Because it's their responsibility,
Okay.
right, to come to court.
'Cause
It's
we
their
should be adult.
responsibility to keep us updated.
Okay.
And that's the main reason, yeah.
And we
Then you
are,
can probably
and
add-
just so you know, we are advising people before they even have court dates. We're sending mailers out to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the
Yes.
next court date.
There's
If
lots
you-
of communication in there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if there is a show cause hearing, let's say that
Mm-hmm.
they haven't paid their fine or something like that, then we would issue a show cause hearing. That's also mailed to them. So we are in pretty good communication as long as they're giving us their current address.
Okay.
Because we have that happen every once in a while, but we are given notification. It's not like they just have a court date and they just, and they have a warrant and they don't know they didn't have the court date.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown?
I just want to thank you and welcome you to Northglenn. Welcome to the Northglenn family, and I hope you enjoy your experience here with us.
Thank you.
I also know, don't ask me how I know, but you cannot go on a police ride-along if you have a warrant. So there are other things that, even if it's a jet ski warrant, you can't
So many questions, Councilmember Brown.
jet ski riding backwards. That's about all I'm going to say. And it wasn't me. But yeah, I felt that to be pretty funny. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, just briefly, I have two questions. Also, welcome, Judge Bailhash.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
At some point, I was under the impression that maybe the court system was going to be looking at implementing a text system to also alert folks that were going to be coming in front of the court. Is
So
that
I looked
something you're
into
looking
that
at?
when I first got here.
Yeah.
And with the old IT department, the best we could get was this kind of email notification system. Honestly, I don't even know if it works anymore. Since JJ got here, we are very much on the same page as integrating technology with the court, and he is doing all kinds of great things. It's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to our next court update, because JJ is doing a lot of great stuff, but he is looking into text
So
notifications.
what I will tell you is that, from what I know, the legislature, I think, is looking at providing funding that would come around next year, I believe. When they didn't give us a whole lot of recommendations to go by, this is kind of one of the things that's coming up in our municipal court email group that we have kind of statewide, is that we're all very aware of that. Just so you know, we're really close to implementing our own text message notification system. I was a little impatient and didn't want to wait that long, so we actually are pretty close. I would say probably within a couple weeks, I think, of implementing something like that, where it would really help with not only just the notification, but if we have bad weather, or we have any other kind of notifications that we would want to get across to an upcoming docket, we can get that out pretty quickly. So we've been looking at that, and that's something with the judge, we're kind of moving forward with technology, and that's definitely going to be an advantage for us.
Great. I'm really
Awesome.
glad to hear that. I think that'll be a very wise investment. The other thing, I guess, is less of a question and more of a statement. I would really, when you all come back for second reading, I would love to see an overview of what some of our neighbors are doing. And the other thing that I'd really love to see is some sort of, I don't know if there's an easy way to do this, is some sort of overview of the number of cases that this would impact every year. So if you can provide those two pieces of information, that would be fantastic. And otherwise, thanks. I don't have any additional questions, just thanks for being here.
I'll
Councilmember
just add, I did send an email over the weekend with some similar questions, so I'm looking forward to seeing.
And then as far as overview from our neighbors, do you want other Adams County jurisdictions, like our physical neighbors, or do you want like-sized municipalities?
That's a good question. What do you all think? Any strong feelings?
Whatever you can get, I think. I mean, it sounds like maybe not everybody's doing anything, so.
Okay. Corey?
I do think one of the more common things is that this was already criminalized.
Yeah.
So I think that you will see a lot of municipalities don't change a thing because careless driving is one of the few charges that under state law and then in many cases under the municipal ordinances was already criminal. And so what triggered Northglenn having to look at this more was this gap created by the OJW bill.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. All right. Anything else? We good? All right.
Thank
Joanna?
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanna, please open the vote.
Vote is open.
That's not it.
I will close that vote, and CB 1980 on first reading passes unanimously.
Right, moving into resolutions. CR 59. Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution approving an easement and maintenance agreement between the City of Northglenn and Adams 12 5-star schools regarding Wyco Park.
All right, is there a motion to approve CR 59?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Amanda Peterson, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, will provide a summary of the item. Amanda?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. In 2017, the city entered into a temporary agreement with Adams 12 to allow for construction to occur at the STEM Lab School on those properties that were immediately adjacent to or overlapping with Wyco Park. So that construction is now complete, and this agreement is a follow-up to that initial agreement. So that initial agreement provided temporary construction access and then allowed for some permanent improvements to occur on city-owned property that were made by the district during that project. This agreement really just identifies the permanent portions, so the maintenance of the improvements that are on city-owned property that the school district made, and some easements and access to those properties. We do have 3 individuals from Adams 12 here today, Jacob Johnston, Matt Schaefer, and Pat Hamilton, if there are any additional questions that any of us can answer for you. But the improvement looks great out there and really improved both the city portion and the district portion through that project.
All right.
That's my park.
Councilmember Brown.
That's my park, and that's the one that I probably bothered Amanda the most about. You know, I'm over my natural weeds thing or whatever. What is it?
Native grasses.
Native
Yeah,
grasses.
thank you for that one, guys. Mwah.
They're native.
But could you tell me what the easements are that we're responsible for?
So none of this actually adds anything that the city is responsible for. It's on the school district side. So if you look at exhibit, I believe it's B,
Okay.
there's a red hashed area on there where there's some overlap to city property. So along Wyco Drive, there's a little area on the, what side is that? West side of the trail that the district made improvements to. So that
Right.
landscaping matches their landscaping. So they'll maintain all of that area from the north or west side of the trail on, even the portion that overlaps city property. And then as you continue down to the south of the school, there's a sport court that's adjacent to the tennis courts. It was an old roller hockey rink that had was outdated. School district used that portion of the property as their staging area and then made improvements and added the sport court. So still maintain that as city property, but the district will maintain the sport court service.
What about the garden and all of that? Is that city property responsibility?
So that's actually not part of this agreement. It is city property. And we have allowed for students to provide that or work on that garden on city property.
I think it's great. It looks really, really good. It really does. I quit complaining about a year ago. The only thing I
It's getting
complain-
used to a different look.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it looks really, really good. And I am proud to announce that Cambria Grace is going to be going to that school next year. She was accepted, so that was a big deal in my house. When it was the middle school, both my girls went there. So this is, she's going to go back to the same school that mommy went to, yada, yada, yada. So I think you guys did a really good job. And I, as a neighbor and as a council person, I really do appreciate the added touches. Except for, what, I'm not too happy. But we pretty much, just so you know some history where that comes from, I had a series of complaints from residents. Why am I? And, but we pretty much have mitigated all of those. I haven't had a complaint in about, 6 months since we put the sign up. Once that sign went up, yeah, come on.
Well, it is important to note that those native grasses take so much less water and so much less, and they're not meant to be mowed on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah, hi, Pat Hamilton. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Adams 12 5-star schools. One thing I would add too is we have also engaged the services of a contractor to come in and help us manage those native grasses too. So we weren't managing those as effectively as they could be. So in addition to that time, it takes 3 seasons really to get those to take. There's also some more things that we can do to get those to look better. So more proactive weeding, some of those things. So we'll be implementing all those changes this summer to all the areas where we have native grass.
That is fantastic news. I really do appreciate that.
And you know how to get a hold of me if there's any problems. Just call me directly.
I can't say anything more. Cammie's going to the school. You can do it.
We'd love your feedback either way.
Okay.
All right, Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. Hi, Amanda. Just this morning, I had someone approach me while I was at the rec center asking me what's going on with the basketball courts here. And I don't know if he hadn't seen them recently, but he said they were in bad shape, and he had said something about, equipment was parked on them and all that. So I don't know. What, can you just tell me?
So that's the area where equipment really was parked on
Yeah.
them. So the construction trailer was on that pad through the duration of the project. And then the district made improvements to that pad and put the sport court elements back in place.
So it's all good now?
It is good now.
Okay, well, I need to tell him then to go look, not bother me.
So, and then that's that little red hashed mark that kind of comes to the north or south there, that identifies that one court as being city property and district maintained. And the school is using it very regularly for recess. I know we were out there today looking at the tennis court project, and recess was in full swing.
All right, that sounds great. And then the only other question I might have is when our pickleball lines be done.
Well, that goes back to the project. We were out there today for the pre-bid for both this court and Wyco. And once we get those bids back and they get under construction and that court is complete, it will include, we believe, 4 pickleball courts, depending on exactly what the layout is, but we believe it'll be 4.
So it is still in progress? It's still
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha, okay.
And that
That's
is
what
a
I can tell
complete
him.
rebuild of those courts.
All right, wonderful. I'll tell him that.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Duran Mullica.
So Councilmember Goff, I think we need to make you the official pickleball liaison of the city. I'm calling for a proclamation. So I just really wanted to say quickly, the park is fantastic. I have a STEM schooler. I love the relationship that the city was able to have with the school district, and at the end of it all, the kids benefited, and that's what's fantastic. So thank you so much for the collaboration and the work.
I second that. Thanks for the great partnership and collaboration now and in the future. All right, with that, Joanna, please open the vote.
The vote is open. I will close that vote, and CR 59 passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to CR 61. Joanna, will you please read the title?
A resolution continuing the temporary designation of the city's former recreation center as an emergency or community center operations facility and approving a brief extension to the agreement with the Denver Rescue Mission to operate the former recreation center as a temporary cold weather shelter.
Is there a motion to approve CR 61?
So moved.
Second.
All right. City Attorney Hoffman will provide a summary of the item.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This resolution, if adopted, would do really three things. First, it would have a very temporary extension of the use of the old recreation center for the winter housing program until April 15th. Secondly, it directs staff to have a community engagement process, which has already been scheduled, about whether to extend it further through and including, I believe it's August 31st, all of which would be paid for similar to the initial winter housing program by Adams County. And then the third thing it will do if adopted is to take the $15,000 that was previously allocated to the intergovernmental agreement with Adams County, which they determined not to use in the SWAP program, and instead reallocate it for use in the rental assistance program that was, I believe, discussed with council. So those are the three things this would do if adopted. Following the community engagement process, again, if it's adopted and if council so desires, we would bring an additional resolution to extend the program through and including August 31st.
Thank you, City Manager Hoffman.
City Attorney, please. No.
Did you get is that an upgrade? Is it a promotion or is that
Not take it notch.
Maybe a dim-
It would be a promotion, but one I don't seek.
Okay, all right. Well, sorry about that. City Manager. Oh, I'm still doing it. Okay, never mind. All right.
Just say
Does anyone have any questions or any discussion? All right, Councilmember Duran Mullica, and then we'll get both of you down there.
The only thing I was going to mention is that the public input meeting is happening on Thursday. So this Thursday at 6, from 6 to 7:30 in council chambers. And I also believe it'll be available virtually. Is that correct? Anybody confirm that?
I read that.
I think, yeah. So you could either be here in person and then
Diana's
there's also
nodding.
a virtual link. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, Councilmember Walker.
This is direct towards Chief, Deputy Chief. I just wanted to follow up on the last presentation you had and the statistics. There were 0 calls for service. Is that still, there's still been 0 calls for service?
I can't remember the calls. Yeah, we had a few calls for service. They were medical calls or assistance calls, right? They weren't calls for disturbance or anything like that. To my knowledge, we've had no issues. Zero issues.
Awesome. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was still valid. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Tim. I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure that this is related, or this is for you, Diana. What kind of communication went out besides possibly the connection? Were there postcards sent out to all residents or just the residents in this specific area for this project?
There were not postcards for this one because of the date that you guys wanted to have it. It was after the connection thing.
Right.
And it was expressed that because the statistics look so good and we hadn't had any complaints, that we would just promote it on social media as well as email all the people that had shown interest in it. If you haven't seen so far, we have had some public input. There's, I want to say 17 comments on the online form, all of them in support except for one. And that was Mr. Bromley.
Okay. From a council person's perspective, I do get a lot of calls on this issue. So if over the course of the next couple of days, we can make sure it floats to the top of our social media.
Okay.
And then I'll feel comfortable that we've done everything we can to notify people.
Yeah, it's been promoted at least once a week on all of our channels, and then it'll be in the e-newsletter. And it will be, the meetings being held in city council chambers, so it'll be broadcast exactly the way your council meetings are. People will also be able to weigh in after the fact on that same input form.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Just for the audience, where can they find that input form?
If you look on the front page of our website, it says give input on extending the winter housing program, and they're new in Northglenn, right there on the list. That's where it is.
Thank you.
Sure.
I've seen it, but you know.
Nope,
you
I
never
get
know.
it. That's great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Councilmember, want to weigh in?
Oh, the only comment I was going to make is just to make sure that our residents, people watching, understand that this is only a 2-week extension because we are trying to figure out, through this open process, getting input from our residents, whether or not to extend it much beyond that. So it's just, I think it says somewhere in there, I heard it's a brief extension. And so it's kind of like a logistical thing. And so I look forward to, seeing and hearing comments on Thursday, even though it's St. Patrick's Day. But if people will show up and they can go out and celebrate afterward or something. Thank you.
All right. Briefly, I just want to say, based on the presentation that we received from staff on February 28th, I feel comfortable moving forward with this extension because the statistics that we have seen have basically told the story that this program is working and our residents are responding positively, and it's impacting, it's getting people off the streets, the support that they need to be able to transition to whatever is next in their life. And I think that's fantastic. That's exactly what we should be doing. So I think it's wise to continue this until the end of the month, and that way we can get some more public input. And I will be looking forward to listening in on the meeting on Thursday. So thank you. With that, Joanna, please open the vote.
The vote is open. I will close that vote, and CR 61 passes unanimously.
Okay. All right, into our single discussion item this evening. We have the Ward 3 council vacancy process. Joanna, do you want to introduce the item?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. I'd like to present a timeline for the process to fill the Ward 3 City Council vacancy that will exist when Councilmember Duran Malaka's resignation takes effect on April 21st. So first, it's important to note that Section 3.8 of the City Charter says that within 30 days after a vacancy occurs, the remaining council members shall appoint by majority vote a duly qualified person to fill the vacancy. In this case, the person appointed to fill the vacancy will serve the unexpired term of the Ward 3 council position only until the next general municipal election, which will be on November 7th of 2023. So at that election, City Council will elect 2 Ward 3 council members, similar to how the Ward 4 vacancy just worked. So one person to fill a 4-year term, one person to fill a 2-year term. So the table in the staff memo provides a proposed schedule for filling the vacancy. Because the upcoming vacancy has been announced, staff is able to start the process to fill the vacancy prior to the seat being vacated. You'll notice that the proposed schedule kicks things off fairly quickly, but it does allow council to appoint a new Ward 3 member at the very next council member following the resignation taking effect. So if you'd like, I can run through that schedule really quickly and then get some feedback from council.
Sure, I think it's helpful.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So the week of March 21st, which is next week, postcards notifying residents of the vacancy would be mailed to every household in Ward 3. This method has been used the last 3 vacancies, and staff finds that the direct mail postcards are really advantageous as far as getting the word out to each household, and that would include multifamily residences as well. On Thursday, March 24th, the official notice of the council vacancy would be published in the Northglenn Thornton Sentinel. That meets and actually exceeds the 14 days notice that's required to be published prior to the deadline in which people have to file an application with the city clerk. And to note, additional notification will be provided to residents with a webpage that will be dedicated to the Ward 3 vacancy, an article published in the April issue of the Connection newsletter that goes to each home, and then posts on the city's social media accounts. And then beginning Monday, March 28th, and continuing through Friday, April 15th, which is a total of 19 days, residents can submit an application for the Ward 3 appointment. Applications will be accepted electronically, through the mail, and in person at City Hall. And then on Monday, April 18th, which is a regularly scheduled study session, we are asking council to set that meeting aside to be used solely to interview the applicants during that study session. As has been done in the past, 20 minutes would be allotted for each interview, and then time would be saved at the end, the conclusion of all of the interviews, so that council can deliberate on the applicants that were interviewed. If council would like to discuss the interview questions, a discussion item to review those questions can be scheduled for either the March 28th meeting or the April 11th council meeting. I did hand out a copy of the interview questions that were used at the most recent vacancy process, and I'll email those to the members that are absent tonight. So during the last round of interviews, each council member asked one question of the applicants. If there is a specific question that council members desire to ask of all applicants, feel free to send that to us. We can compile a list to help facilitate that discussion. And then there's that Thursday, April 21st date when the vacancy takes effect. And then on Monday, April 25th, at that regular council meeting, we have it penciled in that council could appoint an individual to fill the vacancy at that meeting. There is flexibility with this schedule, so if additional time is needed for council to deliberate, the appointment could be made at a special meeting prior to the study session on May 2nd. It could be made at the May 9th regular council meeting or at any special meeting that's called prior to that May 21st deadline. And then you'll notice the Saturday, May 21st date there. That is the firm deadline to appoint a Ward 3 council member. And if an appointment is not made by May 21st, then a special election would need to be called at the May 23rd meeting and then held within 75 days. So a copy of the application is included as an attachment to the staff memo. It is essentially the same application that's been used in the past. It has been reformatted, hopefully to make it easier for applicants to complete. There are 7 open-ended questions and then 4 yes or no questions, and we've kind of ordered those to flow differently. We also added a section at the end of the application so that applicants can read those qualifications to hold the office and then sign those to basically certify that they meet those eligibility requirements. So going back to the proposed timeline, there are 2 items in the schedule that have a direct impact on City Council, and that would be the April 18th study session and then the regular council meeting on Monday, April 25th. And again, there's flexibility if the appointment needs to be adjusted. So I know that the city attorney also provided a legal memo on this subject. So I'd like to obtain feedback on the schedule, and then also if council desires to make any changes to the application form, and we are both available to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Joanna. I have 2 hands, so we'll start with Councilmember Graham-Mullica and then move over to Councilmember Walker.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So we've been through these appointments several times now, so I feel like we have a good pattern down. One of the biggest red flags that I saw for me was, and this is a personal question for me, is on Monday, April 18th, that study session. So we haven't had a vacancy process yet where the person who's leaving is still on council. So, and part of the interview process. So would it be best if I didn't attend that meeting and be part of the interviews? Because that hasn't been part of our process in the past. Corey, I don't know if you have any specific guidance for that.
It is really entirely a policy question. Ultimately, the other council members will vote.
Yes, yeah.
But whether or not you participate is really a question for the other 8.
All right, well then I will take that back to, I know we're missing a lot of people tonight, so it might be something we have to talk about again. But one of the ways that we've done vacancies in the past for those folks, well, I guess Nick, you're the only one who's new to this, is that we actually do a scoring process. And so, do you include my scores? Do you not include my scores? I think that we need to figure out what that looks like specifically for me. So, that's something we'll talk about when they come back, I guess, from DC. I did have another question, Joanna. One thing that I wanted to kind of throw out there for supplemental information on the application. Some of the things that we've seen in the past is because you could attach a resume, a letter of interest, or other supplemental information. We have seen people submit like letters of recommendation before. And whether or not it weighed, city council, I'm not quite sure. But I think since we have seen it in the past, would it be okay if we just kind of, feel free to, I know it says like other supplemental information, but like, feel free to have a letter of recommendation if needed, or some community support letters or something, because, we have seen that in the past, and just want every applicant to know that it's okay to submit those. I don't know how to make that more broad, or, I just want everyone to know that they can, if they so choose, to add extra stuff. So, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Ms. Joanna, I'm just curious, and just kind of addressing Mr. Bromley's concerns and everything. I know we've been through the appointment process. I've been part of that before too, and applied before. But I'm just curious, for transparency, is there any reason why we couldn't have an election? Is there, what are the costs? I mean, could you film it? I mean, I know we're allowed to do the appointment process, but just kind of curious for transparency.
Council could choose to have an election. I mean, the charter says that the council shall appoint, but if that appointment doesn't occur, council could call that special election. I do not have a good estimate as far as what that would cost. Because of the timing, it would be an election that the city would run itself. However, it would only be for one ward, so that would not be, a citywide election, so that would shrink the cost a little. I could provide some information on a cost to council. And I don't know, Corey, if you have better information as far as the timing of not appointing yet calling the election, and when council could do that?
No, I mean, the timing is as you identified it, that if it's not made within the 30 days, then at the next regular meeting. So I think as Joanna indicated, it would be May 23rd.
Correct.
That Monday. And it's interesting because this charter is unique in terms of having the shall language. But again, it has the default. And I frankly believe the default, and this is a little bit of interpretation, is if there was a 4-4 tie. I think that's why that language is in there, that if there's a deadlock, because it has the shall coupled with if it can't be made. But again, it doesn't prevent council from determining not to make the appointment and scheduling it for an election.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
I would like that information to what estimates, estimates of cost and stuff like that, because it may be something that we decide to do this time. The other thing is, I've been on council for 6 years, right? 6, almost 7. And we've used these questions a lot. You know what I mean? Every time, without a new breath of fresh air into our questions. So I would like to ask my fellow council members, would they be opposed to reviewing the questions again? You're shaking your head, yes, you're opposed?
Yeah, no, not opposed. I'm saying yes, it's a great idea.
I think that, every time I read the median ages in the city is 33, I hear Jenny and Julie's voice in my head. Oh, I love them both. But I mean, we've been using the same questions. I would like to have an opportunity. I know you said if we have additional questions, and I do, so I will send an email in regards to that question. But it may only take 10 minutes and everybody else on council goes, no, Becky, we're fine with these questions. But I think a new breath of fresh air might be interesting. Because if I remember correctly, 4 or 5, is it just, it's been a lot, more than I ever remember. So if we could just look at these again, and because these questions are all, and what it reminded me of when I was reading them, it's almost the questions that you fill out with the Northglenn Sentinel to announce your candidacy or to describe your roles and stuff like that. I'd like to see us add some diversity into it.
Thank you. Do you have any, want to weigh in? No? Okay. So I think what I'm hearing, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's some interest in reviewing questions. And it looks like Joanna's outlined either the meeting of March 28th or April 11th to potentially do that. For clarification, can I just get a thumbs up or thumbs down if that's something that y'all want to do? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Joanna, so I'll let you and Heather figure out what the timing of that meeting looks like, whether it's the 28th or 28th or April 11th, but we'll move forward with that. And then it sounds like there's been a request from at least 2 council members to get the information about what it would cost to do an election. Is that just thumbs up, thumbs down?
How many
Everybody
do we
real quick?
need, Corey?
Just to get the information.
Just to get the information. Are
Oh,
we good?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, I'm just making sure that we're all super clear on what we're doing. I saw 5 thumbs up, so we're good there. Is there anything that I'm missing that y'all wanted?
Would that cost for the election include like marketing and everything, all that too, or is it just our actual administrative cost of doing elections?
From my perspective, it would be the technical required notices that we are required to provide to the public. I know that our communications department would do a fabulous job of relaying the information to residents. But as far as marketing, I don't know what that would look like.
We don't call it marketing, we call it public information. And we already incur the cost of sending postcards to everyone, whether it's an appointment or an election. And that would be the only additional cost. And the rest are all our platforms that we would produce anyway.
Okay.
So that's the only hard cost above and beyond our normal platforms. The city clerk may also have some mailing expenses since it's an election, but on the public information side, it's just promotional postcards to make people aware that this opportunity is here.
All right, Councilmember Duran Malika?
So Diana. So when you came up here and you started talking about postcards, that got me thinking. So you're talking about sending out postcards next week.
We are.
So if this council chooses to do an election over an appointment process, shouldn't that go on, that's a different postcard.
Yeah, we won't mail postcards until after your next meeting. I can
Okay.
tell you that right now, just
Okay.
based on this discussion.
Okay.
John Eisel's the one who coordinates this with Joanna, and he's already been in touch with her with the schedule, and we haven't done anything until we heard from what you said tonight's meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course, Councilmember Brown.
I'm sorry. But if we do, I just want to clarify, or make sure that I understand it. If we were to go through the application process and we didn't get much response, or we couldn't make a decision of, say we only had 3 applicants, the way that I understood it was if we didn't make a decision by May 21st, then we would have to have an election. Do we have to,
Well, first of all, that's a question for Corey, and then he would tell me how I could share that information.
do you understand my question, Corey?
No.
Okay, let me try it again. So just say, we've always had a fantastic turnout, 4 or 5 people that have applied for the position. What if we don't get anybody? Except for, what if we don't? Is there ever a chance that, I guess there is.
It is absolutely possible there could be no applicants. There's also possible of, as I said, of a tie vote. There's a possibility of council deciding for any reason to decide not to make a decision by May 21st.
That's what I was looking for. That's the second piece of the puzzle in my mind. So we don't have to technically hold back the postcards because our first step is to interview?
That's a political question in terms of telling the community that you're opening up the appointment process and then deciding not to appoint. That is purely political, not legal.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So since we're missing members, and I think we want to get some numbers first about what this could look like, and we're the 5 on the dais right now, I would recommend, actually, Joanna, how long do you think it would take to get that information? Is it something that we could potentially add on the study session calendar for next Monday, or is that too short of a time window?
No, I would want to make sure that we provide that information sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Just based on the timeline and wanting to move as fast as possible with the appointment process. So we can definitely have that information available for next Monday night.
Okay, then my recommendation is to add it as a study session item next Monday, and then we can have a full discussion about what it looks like and how we all want to proceed.
I agree.
Does that sound okay? Okay. Joanna, do you have what you need from us?
Okay, so on hold until next Monday night is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Corey, Jason, are you both okay? You're good? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else before we move on here from anyone on the dais? No? Okay. All righty. Well then, we're going to move into our last public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by the council during the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience or anyone on the phone that would like to address council at this time? Okay. I think we're good. All right. So with that, we do have an executive session on the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding litigation. Do I need a second or a
Give you a motion.
Thank
Give you a
you.
second.
All right, we've got a motion and we've got a second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Thanks, Joanna.
I will close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
All right, we'll adjourn to the executive session.
And I think this should be fairly brief.
Okay. So we'll just give a moment for our videographer.